You might notice in Coriolan's Memorial Garden there is a statue of a dog. This is its story. The article appeared on the 31st of January 2013 in the Soldier's newspaper, Army. It is titled, "Memorable Mascot Makes His Mark." In the dark days of World War II, and at a time before equality and diversity training, an AIF unit adopted an Egyptian terrier as a mascot and named him Hori the Wog Dog. In early 1941, Privates Jim Moody and Don Gill, two dispatch riders from the 2nd and 1st Machine Gun Battalion Signal Platoon, found the scrawny pup unsuccessfully hunting lizards in the Egyptian desert and took him back to their unit. He was named after a discussion by blokes in the SIG PI tent who decided the name fitted him like a glove. Hori immediately proved so popular with the diggers that the unit's officer turned a blind eye to the no pets rule. He quickly embraced the army way of life, attending unit parades and leading the battalion on route marches. Former Private Ewan Snowy McGray, 89 of Orange in New South Wales, a scout for ACOI 2nd 1st MG Battalion, said his experience with Hori were mainly in the mess tent in Egypt. Hori would keep the Arabs out of the mess tent by latching on to the seat of their baggy trousers, he said. Sergeant PI members smuggled him meat from the mess, which he buried in the sand in the middle of the tent. When someone suggested spraying the meat with olive oil, he fairly hogged into it. The diggers snuck him on board the troop ship Shakla inside a kit bag when the battalion deployed to Greece. Private Moody had Hori in the front of his overcoat when his motorcycle was attacked by a German fighter, causing him to lose control and crash into a ditch. When the plane came back a second time, Private Moody held Hori up to look at it as it flew off, and he growled menacingly. From then on, Hori became the troop's best spotter. He was able to hear approaching planes before the diggers could, and would sit still with his ears cocked. If he began growling, his mates knew there was an enemy aircraft on its way. When the diggers had evacuated from Greece, Hori and his Sergeant PI mates found themselves on the troop ship Costa Rica, headed in convoy for Crete. The convoy was continuously attacked by Sukla dive bombs. Those on board the Costa Rica, who still had their rifles, fired at the German planes, while those who didn't played a piano on deck and sang along. On April 27th, 1941, the ship was holed by a bomb and those on board took to the lifeboats. In the confusion, Hori was almost crushed between two lifeboats. During the Battle of Crete, Hori was quickly trained to carry messages in his collar from the observation post to HQ. When the message was received at HQ, the battalion sergeant would fire 2 shots from his revolver so that those on the observation post would know the message had arrived. Once the Battle of Crete was lost and the diggers were again evacuated by ship, Hori and his mates found themselves on the troop ship Lucy Bank and again under attack from the Luftwaffe. During one such attack, Hori was wounded in action by a steel splinter in his shoulder. After Private Gill dug the splinter out with a knife, Hori wagged his tail as if nothing had happened. Hori deployed with his unit to Palestine and on to Syria, where he attacked a wolf that was stalking his mates. He came out the worse for wear, but survived. When the AIF units in the Middle East were told that they would return to Australia following the Japanese entry into the war, there was a clampdown on unit mascots. Elaborate plans were formulated by Hori's many supporters, which got him smuggled on board a troop ship in Egypt and off the ship in Adelaide. When the battalion went to fight in New Guinea, Hori stayed behind in Melbourne with Private Moody's father, having seen active service in Egypt, Greece, Crete, Palestine and Syria. Horry was involved in a fundraising photo shoot in Sydney in March 1945 when he came to the notice of the quarantine department. Private Moody was given a notice to surrender Horry for destruction within 7 days or face the consequences. Even though Horry had lived in Australia for more than 2 years and was obviously disease-free, Quarantine wanted to set an example to discourage other units from bringing their mascots home. 7 days later, after a media campaign to save Horry failed, Jim Moody surrendered Horry to quarantine officers who put him down. Or did he? Former Signal Platoon member Private Brian Featherstone, who knew Jim Moody and Horry, was adamant that, true to rumour, a substitute dog was to be put down in 1945. The real Horry lived a long, happy life in northern Victoria on a farm in Corryong, he said. According to Jim Moody's son, Ian, of Portland, Victoria, Jim's mates passed the hat around to raise funds for a lookalike dog. Many dog pounds were scored to find a dog already on death row, which apparently they were able to do, he said. There are many books